I'm Lindsay, and welcome back to our meal prep series. It's our third week together, and today we'll be chatting about batch cooking, the importance of a rescue recipe, and setting up snack stations. Then we'll dive into our power hour. So batch cooking can be a lifesaver. Over the last couple of weeks, we've been working on meal prepping to make your evenings and some mornings more streamlined. Batch cooking is essentially that next step you can take to make things even easier. Batch cooking is essentially doubling or tripling a recipe and storing it for later use. For example, this week we're going to be making a really yummy soup. An easy way to batch cook would be to double the recipe and freeze the second recipe for use during another week. Freezing meals is a great way to keep your kitchen stocked, but don't just stop there. You can also cook extras of other ingredients and just use them throughout your week. For example, if you're boiling eggs for egg salad sandwiches, go ahead and boil a few extra for protein-packed snacks. If you're making a grain, double up and use some of it to make a breakfast grain bowl. If you're browning ground beef for chili, go ahead and brown 2 pounds and store the other pound in the freezer so you can thaw it, add spaghetti sauce, and boom, pasta's on the table in no time. Once you learn to identify potential meal prep moments in the dishes that you already have scheduled, you'll soon find yourself stocking your freezer and fridge with lots of great meal prep ingredients for this week and future weeks. Sometimes life happens and you're caught without a plan. And like I've said before, if I don't have a plan, then I have a problem. For those days, I want to introduce you to the rescue recipe. This is a recipe that you typically always have the ingredients for. It could look something like breakfast for dinner, hello scrambled eggs, toast and fruit, a grain bowl made with frozen brown rice, a steamer bag of veggies, a can of beans and some sauce. Healthy meals can be prepped in a matter of minutes when you have a few key ingredients at the ready. You don't have to try and be the hero by prepping every meal element from scratch. Use convenient foods when they fit your needs and save yourself the time. If there's one thing I hear just as much as what's for dinner, it's, Mom, can I have a snack? I want to let you in on a little secret that can save a lot of frustration around snacking. Set up snack stations in your fridge or pantry. Make sure your little ones can reach them and they're able to open all the elements by themselves. So these are snacks that you're comfortable with them eating throughout the day. This is not a place to stick oatmeal cream pies, but try sticking with fruits, veggies, whole grains, lean proteins. Pre-portioned snacks are also a great way to make sure they don't fill up before mealtime. So here's an example of a snack station that I have in my house. So it's just one of these little clear bins, and my daughters know that all of the snacks that are in the bin are up for grabs. You'll see I've got some fruit cups, some yogurt, some pretzels with hummus, string cheese, little packs of raisins, these fruit pouches. These are just freeze-dried fruits as well, or vegetables. So any of these, they know they're up for grabs. They don't have to ask permission to be able to eat them. They know they can just open them, snack, and then I'm not responsible for having to come up with snack. Now it's time to dive into this week's Power Hour. Our recipes for this week include a white bean soup, a sausage and veggie foil packet, garlic chicken and veggie pasta, freezer breakfast Sammies, and make-ahead smoothie packs. In our Power Hour, we're going to make our breakfast Sammies from start to finish, prep and package our soup, prepare ingredients for our pasta, make our foil packets, and pre-measure all of our smoothie ingredients. Whew. Let's get started. So we're going to get started with today's Power Hour, and the first thing I'm going to do is thaw out 10 ounces of chopped spinach. So I'm just going to open this up and then pop it into the microwave to thaw, just like we did last week. This is going to go into our egg Sammies. So last week we had egg muffins. This week we're going to change it up a little bit and make sandwiches. So covered it up with a little bit of saran wrap, and I'm just going to pop it into the microwave. The next thing I'm going to do is turn on my oven so that my egg mixture will bake. It'll be set to 350 degrees. The next thing I'm gonna do is fill my pot with water so that I can boil some pasta. Let that come to a boil, and then we're gonna add in 3 cups of dry rotini. Next up, we're gonna start working on our egg mixture. So this is 6 eggs. And you can use egg beaters if you would rather use those. I'm just gonna use regular eggs because that's what I've got. To this, I'm gonna add a 1/2 cup of milk. I'm just using a skim milk. You can use whatever milk you've got in your fridge. We'll do a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And then a little bit of pepper. Just gonna stir this up. I'm gonna pull our spinach out of the microwave because it just finished. I'm gonna take the saran wrap off and let this cool while we get our roasted red pepper ready. So breakfast oftentimes is a place where people say they have trouble getting vegetables in. So this is just an easy way to add in extra vegetables into your morning routine. So we're gonna be putting in our chopped spinach once it's cool into our egg mixture. And I'm also gonna throw in a roasted red pepper. So this is a 12-ounce jar, and I'm gonna pull out, use about 1/2 of this jar. Oh, they're so pretty. So we'll use about that much. And then I'm gonna save the other part to go into our soup. So don't get rid of it. We're gonna try to use up what we've got. Look how beautiful these are, that charred pepper, roasted. I love roasted red peppers. They have such good flavor. So I'm just gonna slice these up and then just dice them kind of small. So think about what you might want when you're biting into kind of like an egg casserole into a sandwich. And then I'm just gonna throw them into our egg mixture. Work smarter. All right, stir those around. The last thing I need to do is squeeze the moisture out of my spinach, so I'll do that using a tea towel over the sink, and then it'll be ready to pour into our casserole dish. Now we will just take our spinach, kind of break it up. So look how beautiful this is. You've got the greens from the spinach, you've got the red from the pepper, so that's kind of flecked through. So it's such a beautiful casserole. I'm just going to spray some nonstick spray into a smaller casserole dish, and then we'll just pour our egg mixture in. And this is gonna bake for about 25 minutes or so, just until the eggs are completely set. So we'll go ahead and pop it into the oven, and I'll set a timer. All right, our pasta water is ready, so I'm going to measure out 3 cups of, I'm just gonna use a whole wheat rotini this week. Stir that up. All right, and we'll just cook it according to package directions, and I'll cook it until it's about al dente. The next thing we're gonna do is start our soup. And I've got cannellini beans, which if you've never tried cannellini beans, I encourage you to try them. They're just a white kidney bean. They've got lots of yummy flavor to them. And what I'm gonna do for this soup, we're gonna be using 3 cans. We're also gonna be throwing in some kale and another roasted red pepper left over from our egg mixture. But to get started with this and to kind of thicken the soup, I'm actually going to puree 1 can before I add it into my soup pot. The other 2 cans I'm going to rinse and drain. We're going to remove some of that sodium, and I'm just going to use a little small single-serve blender. So I'm going to pour that whole can into there with the liquid. I'm not going to rinse and drain this one. And then I'm just going to puree it until it's pretty smooth. So doing that just adds some thickness to the soup. You could use an immersion blender if you have one, but I just like using my little single serve blender. Then I'm going to rinse and drain these other 2 cans. So what I'm going to do is put a little bit of olive oil into my soup pot, some fresh garlic cloves, and then I'm going to pour in my cannellini bean puree and then the 2 cans as well. We're going to let that come up to a boil, and then as it simmers, then I'll add in extra kale and the roasted red pepper. I'm going to measure out a little bit of olive oil. And then I'm going to do a full tablespoon of garlic. It's going to be good. And I'm going to cook this just until that garlic becomes fragrant. Again, remember that garlic can burn really quickly, so you want to keep an eye on it. So I'm pouring in that bean puree. Then I'll pour in my 2 cans of beans. Yummy. All right, then I'm going to do some rosemary and thyme. This is going to really bring out a lot of flavor. So it's 1 teaspoon of rosemary and a 1/2 teaspoon of thyme. And a 1/2 teaspoon of the thyme. The next thing I'm going to add might surprise you, but it's just a little pinch of red pepper. If you don't like heat, you can definitely leave this part out, but I find that it just adds a little bit of interest into this creamy, warming soup. The next thing I'm going to do is add in 2½ cups of vegetable broth. If you can find a low sodium vegetable broth, all the better. So you're going to use about 1/2 of the carton. We're going to let this come to a boil, then I'll turn the heat down and let it simmer. And as it's simmering, then we'll add in the rest of our vegetables. I'm going to check our pasta while I'm over here. See how we're doing. Got a little bit longer to go. While our soup is simmering and our egg mixture is in the oven and our pasta is cooking, I'm going to get started on our vegetables for our veggie pasta bake that we're going to have later on in the week. I've got a yellow squash, a zucchini, we've got some fresh carrots and some kale, and then I took the easy route and actually bought some pre-done butternut squash. This will go into our foil packets, and then we've got Brussels sprouts as well. So lots of really delicious fresh vegetables that we're going to be using this week. I'm going to get started on our vegetables. So the first thing I'm going to do is I've got my baggies already ready to go. I've got one for my pasta once it's complete, one for the chicken, one for my kale, squash and zucchini, and carrots. Now you don't have to go as OCD as this, but I just like to have my stuff separated out. So we're going to cut these into bite-sized pieces. There's really no right or wrong way, whatever you like to have in your pasta. Zucchini into one. I'm separating my zucchini and squash from my carrots, is that your carrots are going to take longer to cook. So if I put them in the same baggie, then I'm going to have to dig them out when it's time to cook them. So if I just keep them separated, it's just easier come cooking day. As the seasons change, you can choose whatever vegetables you like. The options are endless. Mushrooms would be really good in this, eggplant, really whatever your heart desires, or whatever is in season or on sale. Squash and zucchini are ready. I'm gonna get out as much air from that as I can. Next, I'll do carrots. So I'm going to peel and then dice my carrots. And with all of your vegetables, just remember that the smaller you dice them, usually the faster they'll cook. So if I can chop these up pretty small, then they'll cook pretty fast. So our carrots are ready, our squash and zucchini is ready. Let's check our pasta. It is ready as well, so let's get it drained. Then we'll let it completely cool, and then we'll pop it into a baggie as well. I'm gonna give our soup a little stir as we wait for it to come up to a boil, and then we will finish up with our veggies. So, beautiful fluffy kale. So remember, like we learned last week, we're just gonna tear the leaves off the stems, and then we're just gonna give it a rough chop. Kale is sort of like spinach when it cooks, in that you start out with a whole bunch and then it just completely wilts down. I'm gonna use a few cups of this in my pasta and then a few cups of this in our soup. Okay, so I'm gonna use about half of this for my pasta. So I'm just gonna kind of ball it up together and then just give it kind of a rough chop. No real rhyme or reason. Now I'll pop it into a baggie so that we can pull it out on pasta night. And one thing when you have a meal prep that involves several different baggies, one trick that I use is I just pop it all into one bin. So that way I'm not trying to search for different elements that go with different meals. So I can just pull out the bin and all the ingredients that I've already prepped are ready to go. You could even throw in your spices or your olive oil, your garlic, whatever it is that you need for the recipe. Throw it in the bin so that on dinner night you can just pull the bin out and it's all there ready for you. I'm gonna chop the rest of this kale for our soup and also chop up our other roasted red pepper. And then we will chop our chicken, which is the last element that we'll prep for our pasta. It's gonna add beautiful color, extra fiber, extra nutrients. Especially with soups, I kind of like to throw in whatever else I've got from other recipes. I kind of feel like I can clean out my fridge. So don't let any vegetables go to waste. Just throw them into a soup that you've got going. All right, these guys are ready to go. So I'm just gonna let them hang out by the soup so that once my soup comes up to a boil and then simmers, then I can toss these guys in. Let's go ahead and check our eggs. I think they're ready, so let me grab my pot holders and we'll get it out of the oven. Remember, we're just looking for the eggs to be set. We'll set this out to cool, and then we're gonna cut it into 6 slices for our breakfast Sammies. Next up, let's go ahead and chop our chicken into bite-sized pieces for our pasta night. So I'm just gonna chop it up and then put it into my pre-labeled baggie, and then I'll put it into my bin with the rest of those meal components. So I've got two pretty decent sized boneless, skinless chicken breasts. You can use whatever kind of chicken you like, or whatever kind of protein that you like. Okay, we'll seal up our chicken. And then our last piece to this pasta puzzle is our pasta. So we're going to just pop this into our baggie. Let that steam kind of come out. Our veggie pasta components are ready. This is gonna go into the refrigerator and hang out until we're ready to cook. All right, I hear our soup boiling. So I'm gonna turn the heat down. I'm gonna add in our kale. Again, kale is one of those that it wilts down. So don't be scared if it looks like it's gonna come out of the pot. And we'll stir this up, and we're just gonna let the kale wilt down, and then we'll give it a taste and see if it needs anything else added to it. You can see the flecks of garlic and those bright red peppers. In preparation for our sausage and vegetable foil packets, I'm just going to take our Brussels sprouts and I'm going to go ahead and quarter them, put them in a baggie along with our butternut squash, and then I'm gonna go ahead and chop up our sausage. And I'll show you the kind of sausage that I got, but just putting it all into a baggie, and then on the night of, we'll actually make the foil packets and just pop them into the oven. So it'll come together really, really fast. So I'm using a turkey smoked sausage. I like this because it is lower in fat, but you can choose whatever your family likes. It really doesn't matter as far as taste goes. I like these because they are just a little healthier. This is gonna make 4 foil packets on the night of. So I'm gonna pull these sausages out so they're ready to go. And then to do the Brussels sprouts, I'm just gonna chop off the bottom, take off any of the brown leaves if there are any. And then if they're really big, I like to quarter them. That way they're kind of the same size as the butternut squash. And like I said, when things are kind of the same size, then they tend to cook the same rate. And the smaller they are, the faster they'll cook. And I'm just going to open up my butternut squash. You definitely don't have to get the pre-sliced butternut squash if you just enjoy slicing up butternut squash yourself. Totally up to you. I just find it's a lot easier to buy the pre-done. Save yourself the time. Okay, I'm just gonna slice up the turkey sausage just in little rounds. Runaway sausage. And one thing too about foil packets, if you've got the extra time, you're welcome to go ahead and make the foil packet and then just seal it up and pop it into a freezer bag and then pop it into your freezer. And then when you're ready to cook it, kind of like you would like a crock pot meal, you would want it to completely thaw before you would put it into the oven. All right, so this is ready. On the night that we're gonna make these, we're just going to pour in some olive oil and some seasonings, kind of toss it all together, and then we'll pop it into our foil packs, wrap them up, pop them in the oven, and they'll be ready in no time. So our soup's been simmering. That kale has really kind of simmered down. One thing you can always do is if you've got extra chicken on the night of, you can always throw some extra chicken in there. Your beans are gonna have a lot of protein in them, but they also have a lot of carbohydrates in them as well. So by putting in the chicken, that's gonna help kind of balance out that protein to carbohydrate ratio. But if you wanted to keep it plant-based, just keep it as is, and it's so delicious. I'm gonna let that cool, and once it's completely cool, then I'll transfer it to just a glass container to be stored until we're ready to reheat it and eat it. All right, next up, we're gonna be making smoothie packs. Smoothies are one of those great breakfasts that's easy to just whip it up, head out the door, drink it in the car or wherever you're going. However, it can be kind of hard to get out all of your ingredients, especially if you're trying to do one that has fruits and vegetables and then has different bags of different fruits and different vegetables. So I like to do make-ahead smoothie packs. They make the mornings so much easier. All you have to do is pre-measure all of your ingredients, pop it into a freezer bag, and then on the morning of, you just take it out of the freezer, add your liquid, and you're ready to go. So, in our smoothie packs, we're gonna be doing, and this recipe is really versatile, you can kind of make it with whatever fruits you like. Spinach is a really common vegetable to put into smoothies. It's one of those kind of flavor neutral greens, but if you want to try something new, you guys know I love my cauliflower. I find that riced cauliflower also is a great addition to smoothies. It adds in a little bit of extra fiber, it kind of adds in some bulk and creaminess without any calories or carbohydrates. So it's a great addition when it comes to making smoothies. So what I'm gonna do, kind of my formula for this one is gonna be 1 cup of frozen fruit, a 1/2 cup of frozen cauliflower, and then I'm gonna do about 1/2 of a really ripe banana. One trick that I've learned at the grocery store is to go to that section in the store where they put kind of the old looking fruits and vegetables. They're usually super cheap, and those are the exact bananas that you want. I call them banana bread ready bananas because they're going to be really ripe, and these are perfect for smoothies because they add a creaminess, add a sweetness without a lot of extra added sugar. So we're going to do a 1/2 cup of cauliflower and then 1 cup. So this blend is strawberries, pineapples, and mango. So it's going to have a little bit of a tropical feel. I don't know about you, but I always love to pretend like I'm at the beach, so sounds good to me. All right, a couple things that you could add to this if you wanted to. You could always add in something like flax seeds or chia seeds. You could add in some avocado, nut butter, whatever it is that you like. I'm gonna use a soy milk when it's time to blend this up. My soy milk has about 8 grams of protein per cup, the same as cow's milk. So you could use a cow's milk, soy milk, whatever you like, but that's gonna add in some extra protein, which is gonna give me filling power from this smoothie. So I'm gonna make 3 more, so I've got 4 mornings that are ready to go. And then usually on Fridays, we do a little something different for breakfast. These are great for breakfast, or even if you wanted to use them as a snack after school. All right, smoothies are done. Okay, the last thing that we're gonna prepare today are going to be our egg Sammies. So you can see that our egg casserole turned out so beautiful, all that spinach and those red peppers. So I'm just gonna cut this into 6 pieces, and then I'm going to assemble my sandwich. So it's gonna be a whole wheat English muffin, our egg casserole, a piece of cheese, and that's it. So super simple, comes together really quickly. But this is so much better than running through the drive-thru and picking up something there. I'm going to be using my parchment sheets. You can cut parchment to whatever size you like, and this might be a little bit big, but I just like that it's already done for me, so it's one less thing that I have to worry about. So, got my egg muffin ready to go. I'm gonna pull out this egg casserole, put that on there. To reheat these, it's super simple. You just take them out of the freezer or the refrigerator. If they're coming out of the freezer, you can always defrost them on the defrost setting on your microwave. and then just reheat them for about a minute or so. And that's it. I'm gonna wrap them up in parchment paper. I find that kind of works the best. Cute and compact. And then you can just stack them into your baggie and it's ready to go. So I'm gonna make the other 5 and put them all in here, and then they're ready for me to grab and go for the whole week. So I've got 6 sandwiches that are all ready to go. I'm just going to pop them into my refrigerator because I don't think that they're gonna last very long. Like I said before, when you're ready to heat these up, just take them out of the parchment paper, put them onto a microwave safe plate, and just reheat them until the cheese is kind of melty, and you've got a really great breakfast that's got protein, vegetables, a little bit of dairy, and a whole grain. So before I put my soup away, I just want to give it a quick taste to make sure it doesn't need anything else. You can really taste that little hint of crushed red pepper. It gives it just a little bit of interesting flavor without being overwhelming. The rosemary and thyme also make it feel really comforting. It's definitely one of those comfort bowls of soup that you would love on a chilly evening. Okay, I'm just gonna ladle this into a glass container so that it's ready to go. And again, when we're talking about batch cooking, this would definitely be something that if you were just cooking for 1 or 2, you could definitely eat half this week and freeze the other half. You could definitely double the recipe and freeze that second recipe to eat on a different day or a different month. I'm gonna let this continue to cool just a little bit more before I put the lid on and then pop it into the refrigerator. Okay, I want to show you real quick how quickly breakfast can come together. So here is one of our sandwiches that we just took out of the parchment paper. I reheated it just for about a minute or so, and everything is all yummy and warm and delicious. So this is super simple. You could eat it in the car or on the way to school. The other breakfast that we went ahead and prepared were our smoothie packs. So these are super simple. You just pull them out of your freezer, and then again, I'm just using the same blender that I used for my soup as well. So I like these because you can take the cup with you, or you could always pour it into another cup. I would recommend doing a cow's milk or a soy milk because it's gonna have protein in it versus something like an almond milk. And that protein is gonna give you some staying power to get you through your morning until your next snack or until lunch. So we'll just blend this up until it's all mixed and combined. And that's it, breakfast is ready to go. So the cauliflower and that banana really help keep the smoothie super creamy. And that strawberry gives it that beautiful pink glow. Happy breakfast. Ooh. I feel like I'm at the beach. Okay, it's time to make our sausage and vegetable foil packs. So what I'm gonna do is make 4 little foil packets. And I just preheated my oven. So remember, if you know you're gonna be using your oven, as soon as you walk in the door, go ahead and turn it on. I'm gonna do 2 at a time. So remember, we've already chopped our Brussels sprouts, our butternut squash already came chopped for us, and then our smoked turkey sausage. So what I'm gonna do to this is add in a little bit of olive oil, salt, and pepper, and also a little bit of thyme to kind of add in a little bit of yummy flavor. So some olive oil. Do about a teaspoon of salt, maybe a little less. You put in whatever you like though. If you like other seasonings, if you wanted to use something like a Mrs. Dash so that you don't have any added sodium, feel free to do that. And then I'm gonna do 1 teaspoon of thyme. And a little extra. could do this in a bowl, but I say, why dirty up a bowl when you can just do it in the baggie? Now, I'm just going to divide this mixture up between the 4 foil packets, and then I'll show you how to roll up your foil packet, and then I'm just gonna pop it onto a baking sheet and then put it into the oven at 425 for about 25 minutes or so. It ends up being about 2 cups per foil packet. I'm just going to bring up the edges. You want to make sure that there's still a little bit of room inside the foil packet for the heat and the air to circulate around so that all the vegetables will cook evenly. Isn't it cute? And that's it. So I'm going to pop these into the oven. Like I said, you really are just waiting for your vegetables to cook through. So once the butternut squash becomes fork tender, then that's when I'll pull them out. I'll show you how to check for that though, because your turkey has already been cooked. You're just looking for it to warm through. Let's check our turkey sausage vegetable foil packs. They've been in the oven for about 25 minutes. And again, you're just looking for those vegetables to be fork tender. There they are. And my fork just really goes in there really nicely. So they are ready to go. When we're ready to serve, it's as easy as taking your foil packet. You can serve it rustic style like that, or you can just dump it out. Healthy carbohydrate meal with your butternut squash, those healthy green Brussels sprouts, and then that lean protein by choosing that turkey sausage in lieu of a traditional like andouille sausage. So this is something that's going to keep you full for a long time after you eat. So it's veggie pasta night, and I've pulled out my big plastic bin that's got all of our pre-prepared meal components in it. So it's got our cooked rotini, our chicken, our zucchini and squash, our carrots, and our kale. So again, keeping everything all together in this bin made it really easy, so I wasn't searching through my fridge for different baggies that I didn't know which went with different recipes. So this kept everything together, and it's all ready to go. So the first thing we're gonna do is cook our chicken. I've got my skillet going. You can use whatever kind of skillet you like. Got about a tablespoon of olive oil. And then we'll just pop our chicken on. We're gonna let this cook, and then we'll take it out and set it aside while we cook our vegetables. If you wanted to even make this easier, you could always do some pre-cooked chicken, which is normally sold by the deli meat in the grocery store. That makes things even simpler. All right, I'm gonna cook this chicken until it's no longer pink, and then once it's done, I'm gonna take it out and set it aside, and then I'll get started by cooking my carrots. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and take my chicken out. It is no longer pink inside. Okay, next up, I'm just gonna throw in my carrots and let these guys saute up for a couple minutes. And I'm gonna put them in first because they will take a little longer to cook than your zucchini and squash. So we're just looking for them to become a little bit tender. And like I said when we were meal prepping, this is definitely a recipe. You can mix and match whatever vegetables you like. You could do sweet potatoes, you could do the butternut squash in here. Instead of the carrots, you could do eggplant, mushrooms, all sorts of options there. All right, I'm gonna throw in my zucchini and squash now. You'll notice this dish has lots of vegetables, which I am such a fan of including as many vegetables as you possibly can into your day. The current recommendations are 5 to 7 servings of fruits and vegetables each day, which a serving of these cooked vegetables, only a half cup counts as a serving. So you can see that it adds up pretty quickly. But in my opinion, the more the merrier when it comes to servings of fruits and vegetables. So aim for that 5 to 7, and anything extra, you get a gold star. All right, once these kind of become soft, then I'll add in my kale and then a few more seasonings, and then we'll throw in our chicken and our pasta, and this is ready to go. Let's add in our kale now. We're just looking for it to wilt. All right, and as this is cooking, I'm gonna go ahead and get some more seasoning on our vegetables. So I'm gonna do a little bit of salt, some pepper, and then a little bit of garlic. So let's throw back our chicken. And then our cooked rotini. Now, from here on out, the choice is yours. You've got a couple options. You can eat it just as is. You might even sprinkle a little bit more oregano on top or a little bit of Parmesan. You could also do a marinara sauce if your family really likes that tomato-based sauce, or you could even do a pesto. So I'm gonna plate this up, and I'm actually gonna use a little bit of pesto on mine, and I'll show you what that looks like. Dish up some of those beautiful vegetables, that hearty chicken and pasta. This is definitely gonna be a filling meal, and one that you might have leftovers with. And then, not everyone in my family loves pesto, so I could foresee my youngest and oldest loving some marinara sauce, and then my husband and I liking the pesto. That's all there is to it. A beautiful, healthy meal on your table in no time. So as you can see, healthy and delicious meals really are within reach when you do a little bit of meal prepping. I look forward to seeing you guys next week for our last week, week 4, as we continue our meal prep series.